So guys, today we will go through a question on Azure Blob Storage that is based on the exam AZ204. Here we will go through a question, okay, and explain the answer, the correct answer and the incorrect answer as well. I will explain why the answers are incorrect, what are the reasons the other options are incorrect, okay, and we'll also go through real interview questions that are scenario based. Okay guys, so let's begin. So why it's question 7 here? Because the other 6 question you can see in my previous videos. Just I will link 2 of them in at the end of this video. Just click and see those. Okay then guys, so let's begin. So the question says you are developing an application that uses Azure Blob Storage. The application must read the transaction logs of all the changes that occur to the blobs and the blob metadata in the storage account for auditing purposes. The changes must be in the order in which they occurred, including create, update, delete, and copy operations, and be retained for compliance reasons. You need to process the transaction logs asynchronously. What should you do in this scenario? So the option 1 says process all blob storage events by using Azure Event Grid with subscriber Azure function app. Okay. Option 2, enable the change feed on the storage account and process all changes for available events. Option 3, process all storage analytics logs for successful blob events. Option 4, use the Azure Monitor HTTP Data Collector API and scan the request body for successful blob events. So let's see what is the correct answer. So the correct answer is enable the change feed on the storage account and process all changes for available events. So why this is correct? See, Azure Blob Storage change feed is specifically designed for these scenarios. So what does it provide? It provides an ordered, append-only and immutable log of changes. So it captures create, update, delete and copy operations as well. And it also retains logs for compliance and auditing. And it supports asynchronous processing, and it is designed for reliable event processing at scale. Therefore, it records changes in the exact sequence in which they occur. Okay, so this is the correct answer. Now see why the other answers are incorrect. Okay. So see, if you use event grid for the Azure function, see, event grid is near real-time eventing. However, it does not guarantee ordered delivery. The events are not intended for long-term compliance retention. So we also need long-term compliance retention, right? So the events are not meant for that. Now, the next option, Azure Storage Analytics Logs. See, Storage Analytics Logs, see, is legacy logging, okay? It does not provide a structured order change like change feed. And it's not ideal for modern auditing requirements, fine? So the other option, Azure Monitor HTTP Data Collector API. See, this API is for sending customer log to Azure Monitor. So it is not a native blob transaction log solution. Okay, so these are the reasons the other options are incorrect. Okay. So the best solution is enable Azure Blob Storage change feed and process the change logs asynchronously. So now guys, we will move to Azure Blob Storage scenario based interview questions. So guys, please subscribe to my channel and like the videos. So I work hard to bring such questions for you so that you can get benefited. So so it will benefit me as well if you subscribe. It's just one click away from you. So I would be very much grateful to you. So now let's move to the scenario based questions. So scenario 1 is audit compliance requirement. So the interviewer asks you, your company stores financial documents in Azure Blob Storage. The compliance team wants every blob modification tracked, ordered history, long-term retention, tamper-proof logs. So what solution would you design? So the answer should be, I would enable Azure Blob Storage change feed. Why? Because change feed provides immutable append-only logs, ordered sequence of events, historical replay capability, and long-term retention support. Okay, so what should be the architecture of this? See, so it enables change on storage account. So Azure function database read, change, feed, and store processed events into SIEM, log analytics, data lake, compliance TV. Okay, so it's enable immutable storage policies if required. Why not event grid? See, event grid does not guarantee ordering, that we already discussed. Okay, does not, and order grid also does not retain historical events permanently, so it cannot replay old events. Fine. So now the next scenario is based on missed events during outage. So now interviewer may ask you, your event processing application was down for 6 hours. How would you recover missed blob events? So the answer should be, if using change feed, read last checkpoint offset. Number 2, resume processing from missed position. And number 3, replay all missed events, because change feed is durable, immutable, and replayable. So important point, this is one of the biggest advantage over event grid. Okay, fine. So you can just go through these topics and make your own question. This is one of the scenario that I'm discussing with you. Such kind of questions may come. Just don't memorize and say to the interviewer. You apply your own logic, and I am just giving you a kind of hint so that it can be beneficial for you, because every people have their own idea to represent to the interviewer. So apply your own idea to represent to the interviewer. Okay, so option 3, real-time versus historical processing. So interviewer asks you, your business needs immediate notification when blob uploaded, historical replay for auditing. What services would you use? The answer should be, I would combine event grid for real-time notification, change feed for historical replay and auditing. So what should be the design? Upload blob upload, event grid triggers instant processing, change feed stores permanent audit trail. So the best practice, use event grid for responsiveness and change feed for durability. Okay, so I hope it is clear to you. So let's move to scenario 4. Large scale blob storage. So in this case, interviewer may ask you, millions of blobs are updated daily. How would you design a scalable processing system? So your answer should be like, what should be the architecture there? So it should enable change feed, use Azure Databricks or function, process feed in parallel, store checkpoints in Cosmos DB or table storage, push events in Kafka Event Hub if needed. So scalability technique, parallel segment processing, batch reading, checkpointing, partition customer. Okay, so what are the benefits we'll get? High throughput, fault tolerance, and replay support. Fine. So scenario 5, security investigation questions. So interviewer says, a security team wants to know who deleted blobs, when deleted happened, exact sequence of operation. What Azure function, actually Azure feature would help. Okay, so the answer should be Azure change feed. Why? Because it records deletion operation, timestamp, and order transaction history. So additional services are Azure Monitor, Azure Sentinel, and SIEM integration. Okay, so you can use these services as well. So scenario 6, event ordering issue. So interviewer says, your application requires processing events in exact order. What would event grid alone work? Your answer should be straight away no. Okay, so you should also have to explain, event grid does not guarantee strict ordering. So I would use change feed or order processing, optional event grid for real-time notification. Okay, so this has been discussed in my previous video as well, you can check it. So scenario 7, data synchronization across regions. So interviewer says, your company replicates blob changes to another region. How do you detect incremental changes efficiently? So the answer should be, I mean to say, you have to answer in this way, like I would use change feed, flow, read new feed events, identify changed blobs, replicate only changed blobs. So what are the advantages? the incremental processing, efficient synchronization, and no full storage scanning. So in this way you can answer in your own words. Okay. So scenario 8, replay historical data. So interview will ask you, business users want to rebuild analytics for last month's blob changes. How would you support this? So answer should be using change feed replay capability steps, read historical feed segment, reprocess events, rebuild analytics pipeline, because change feed retain historical changes and replay is possible. Okay. So the last one, production support troubleshooting. So this type of questions are mostly asked in the interview because this tests your production experience. Okay. So everyone faces production issues, so we need to troubleshoot this as well. So the interviewer says a downstream system says some blob updates are missing. How would you troubleshoot that? So the investigation steps in troubleshooting interview, we have to tell the investigation step. Normally we follow the STAR methodology that I will discuss later on. You have to see the investigation step. Okay, properly. Fine. So the number 1 step is verify the change feed enabled. Check processing checkpoints. Number 3, verify consumer lag. Number 4, replay missing events. Number 5, check failed processing logs. And number 6, validate process permissions and access. So key advantage. So it replay capability simplifies recovery. Fine. So guys, that's all for today video. So if you like it, please subscribe my channel and like this video as well. It will be very much helpful for me. Okay, so that's all for today. So see you in the next video. So please subscribe and like my video. Okay then, bye guys, see you in the next video.